The Brooklyn Nets are the most polarizing team in the NBA. From the way the team was formed, to their players and their larger-than-life personalities, to the recent acquisitions of seemingly unfair amounts of veteran talent, everybody has a big opinion on the team. Today, I'm going to be talking about 5 reasons why the Brooklyn Nets can win the NBA championship. Pretty self-explanatory, so cue the intro.
Shot on Elo, good! The Bulls win! They win! Unbelievable! Reggie hits the three!
Before we start the video, if you're new here to my channel, be sure to subscribe because I make more NBA related content like this. Also, leave a like, it would really help me and it only takes a second. With that said, let's just start the video. The first reason the Nets can win a ring this year is the Big Three. They are the most offensively talented trio in league history, and it's not even close in my opinion. Harden and Durant are 2 of the 10 best scorers in NBA history, and their third option, just this little guy named Kyrie Irving. But what makes them the best is the matchup nightmares they can cause. Lock one of them down, someone's guaranteed to be having a great night. Send a double, and they can find their way off the ball for an open 3. Look at the best teams in the East they will likely have to face in the playoffs, and let's see how they match up on defense. 76ers, Ben Simmons gets whoever's having the best game, and then what? Bucks, Giannis will guard KD, Holiday will guard Harden, looking pretty good, until you realize Chris Middleton has to try and keep up with Kyrie. Even a team-oriented defense like the Heat still can't get but so far until it eventually gets exposed. Their Big Three is going to be a big reason why they can win the championship, but I think you already knew that. Another reason they can win a championship this year is because of the rest of the teams in the league not being the most amazing this year. In the East, there are major questions about all of the big contenders. For the 76ers, their duo have issues with health and their mentality at times. In addition, they also have questions with their spacing and their questionable coaching with Doc Rivers last year. The next best team in the East is the Bucks, who also have coaching problems and questions on how Giannis does in the playoffs and if anyone can really fill the role for him. After that, the only 2 teams that are going to be competitive in my opinion are the Heat and the Celtics. The Heat were called by LeBron haters the worst final teams in NBA history, which is false, but it has some truth. They just don't have the talent of many of these other teams. For the Celtics, I don't know, man. I have no idea what's going on in Celtic world right now. And once you get out of the East, the competition ain't all that either. For the Lakers, LeBron James and Anthony Davis are both injured. We don't know if that might affect their performance, and there are still questions about the depth even with their new additions. For the Clippers, PG-13 and the rest of the team might implode again in the playoffs. The Nuggets, is very questionable if you can win with Jokic as your first option and Jamal Murray as your second. And for both the Jazz and the Suns, the 2 best teams in the league, they have questions of not having a superstar, as each of their best players are Jake from State Farm and Donovan Mitchell. While the league is filled with more good teams than ever, there's no clear favorite or a team that is much better than the rest of the league like in years past. The third reason I believe the Nets can win the NBA championship is the lack of chemistry problems many people believed they would have going into the season. None of us know exactly what's going on in their locker room. For all we know, there could be a WWE fight in the locker room after every single game. But on the surface level, everything seems to be going well. The shot distribution between the Big Three is pretty even. Of course, this is a very small sample size as they barely have played together, but when they have, they aren't fighting over the shots a lot. On the bench, they all look happy for one another and there's lots of chemistry between them. In addition, the role players are still getting their fair amount of shots. Many people thought, well, if they already have Kyrie, KD, and Harden, then nobody else can get their shots up. Again, there's a very little sample size with all of the Big Three playing, but when they do, the rest of the team still gets an okay role. They all put up with this as well. They still put forth lots of effort on defense, and again, thus far, nobody has complained about their lack of shots. Even though you might expect this from some of the players on the team being used to having a larger role. The fourth reason I believe they can win a championship is the depth that they have had, which has surprised many again. After the trade, many people, including me, were very worried about their next best player not named Joe Harris was probably DeAndre Jordan, which was concerning. Since then, they have acquired both LaMarcus, Aldridge, and Blake Griffin off the buyout market. Of course, they are not nearly the players they were back a few years ago when they were both some of the best power forwards in the league. Blake can still give you some slashing and shooting on offense and some solid passing skills, which works well with their team. LaMarcus Aldridge is a pretty similar case. On offense, he can just be a pick and roll or pick or pop guy. I wouldn't really rely on him anymore in the post, especially when there's so many better options. And on the other side, defense, while they are by no means good or even average defenders, but at least they're not Trae Young. On the bench, of course, they have shooters in Landry Shamet and Joe Harris. Bruce Brown is a very good and underrated defensive player who I think should be getting more minutes. Jeff Green is another veteran who plays the same defensive role as Brown, just at the power forward position and being a more versatile defender. And someone who can play both of these roles, both being a shooter and a defender at the same time, is Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot. When it comes to the center position, this one's really interesting and I want to talk about that. If you go see DeAndre Jordan's game log, you can see his minutes are going down, and now he's only playing a few minutes every single game. And the reason why is this man, who I want to talk about. Nicolas Claxton is one of the most underrated big men in the league today. He provides the exact same amount of rebounding as Jordan while being better at everything else. On offense, he's a better finisher around the rim, sets better screens, finishes lobs, and fights for rebounds, which makes him the perfect match with Harden and basically means he can play a role for him like Clint Capella did back on the Rockets. And on the other end, on defense, Claxton is way better focused and is more athletic, protecting the rim. In addition, he can guard a bit on the perimeter as well, a trait that is huge and a big reason why I think he's better than DeAndre. These players all fit very well on the team since none of them demand the ball in their hands and can play off ball. Oddly enough, the team that everyone thought would be screwed by depth is now being helped by it. And the fifth reason on the list is the Nets are already proven as a team. Look at every reason on this list and you'll see these aren't hypothetical situations. We haven't seen it, but we all know the Big Three is historically great on offense. Everyone knows the teams are struggling right now in the NBA. We can see they're playing better together as a team, and soon enough, in my opinion, everyone will see how good their bench is. Here's a statistic for you. When they play against teams with a record above 500, they win 80% of their games, which is crazy. In my opinion, this is the Nets championship to lose. All they have to do is execute. With the formation of the teams, this could be one of the greatest and most memorable championships of all time if they win it. Comment down below what you think about this team. If you made it this far, you must have liked the videos, so be sure to subscribe. If you want to see more NBA videos like this, it would really help. But with all that said, I'll see you guys in my next video.